What's up, y'all? I'm back out here on the range, as you can see behind me, on yet another hot summer day. Temperature's supposed to be a little bit cooler today, but not much, and the humidity's supposed to be up there, so I've got me some shade set up. Supposed to be a little bit overcast, but I see some clear skies where some sun can definitely come out, so I ain't taking no chances. I've got a few interesting tests on the agenda, and we're gonna start it out with some 40 Smith & Wesson. So we got the jelly contraption ready to go with a couple of chronos and 2 fresh blocks of gel. First test of the day, so we get a really nice clear picture on this one. Using a heavy clothing barrier as usual with the layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And what we got here should be a good one to start the day out with. We got a couple of different weights of Federal Premium HST in 40 Smith & Wesson. I've actually tested 180 grain of this in the past. I think it's been quite a while on my older setup. I'll have to look back. It may be time for an update on that one. But my local shop just happened to get in a bunch of Leo Trade 165 and 155, so I figured it'd be a good time to do some middle weights, I guess we should call them. So first here we got the 155 grain. Now this one I don't believe is offered anymore. I think this one is discontinued, or at least I don't see any kind of listings for it at all anymore. HST 155 grain, obviously with the HST projectile. Now the velocity on this one is saying 1160 feet per second, which would give you 465 foot-pounds. That's out of a 4-inch barrel, so what I'm using here today is probably not going to see that. And then the other one is a current offering. This is the 165 grain. Same thing here, Federal HST. Now the velocity on this one is saying 1130, so you're looking at 30 FPS slower on this little bit heavier, the 10 grain heavier projectile, but you still have 3 foot-pounds more energy if you hit that velocity. Now again, I'm using a shorter than 4-inch, so we're not going to hit these velocities more than likely. There you can see the cartridges, nice nickel-plated cases on both of them with that HST projectile. You can't tell any difference with that 10 grain difference. The only thing I can see that's different between them is the 165, the sealer on it is a blue colored, where the 155, I don't see any color. So if it is a sealer on this one, it's just a clear sealer instead of the blue. And like I mentioned, these numbers are from a 4-inch barrel, but that's easy to get good performance, especially with a 40 Smith & Wesson HST. So I figured we give them a little bit more of a challenge. So as you can see here, I'm using the G27 with the 3.5-inch barrel. So I don't really have any doubt that both of these things are going to perform really well. I'm kind of curious to know why they went away from the 155, if they saw better performance with this 165, and what kind of testing they did to come to that conclusion. But I think both of these are going to do a really good job out here today. Let's get it all set up and let's see what they do. All right, let's see how fast these HSTs are moving. I'm going to do a 5-round average from each of the weights, starting with this 155 first. Now, if y'all aren't familiar with this lab radar, like I always explain, you're going to get multiple velocity readings, the large numbers at your muzzle, and then you've got 5 across the bottom. The first one is set for 3 yards, which is roughly where the gel is here at 10 feet. And then I've got them set for 10, 15, 25, and 50 yards. Now, remember the box on this is saying 1160 from a 4-inch. So obviously we're not going to see that here, but hopefully we get relatively close anyway. 1078, 1133, 1098, 1082, and 1100. So a little bit all over the place with these. Let's check out the average. All right, it wasn't spread out quite as much as I thought. We had a 5-round average that time of 1098 feet per second, extreme spread of 55 with a standard deviation of 21.8. So 1098, I would definitely have liked to have seen a little bit more than that, even out of this 3.5-inch, but HST, I still think it's gonna do a fine job. But let's get it reset and let's check out the 165s. All right, let's see what these 165s do. Remember, these are saying 1130 out of a 4-inch. So again, we're not going to see that here. Based on what we just saw with those 155s, I'm guessing around 1070, 75 or so with these. Hopefully a little more, but that's probably what we're going to see. 1077, 1062, 1058, 1092, and 1,066, so about what I figured. Let's check out the average. All right, so a little bit slower that time, obviously with the heavier projectile. We had a 5-round average that time of 1,071 feet per second, extreme spread of 34, and a standard deviation of 13.6. So both of them not up to the box speed. Obviously, it's a shorter barrel than what they're claiming. I still think we'd have been a little bit short, even from a 4-inch, but 1,071 here, and if you remember on the 155, it was 1,098, so you talking about 27 feet per second faster with the lighter projectile. The box difference claimed 30, so right there at the spread they're supposed to be, just not up at the velocity. Now again, 3.5-inch barrel, but all that being said, these are HST projectiles, so I still expect some really good performance. But let's get it all set up, and y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, it's do more grains equal more gains jelly time. I'm gonna put one of each into the gel, starting with this 155 first. I got a feeling both of these are gonna do really, really well down here, but just curious to see what the difference is gonna be. I think they're gonna be very similar. All right, that should have been a good one. Let me go check it out. All right, no surprise, that one's looking really good from what I can tell so far down there. I will say it doesn't look like it's got a ton of expansion on it. I mean, it's got plenty, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't look like a ton unless I just can't see it real good. So curious to see what this 165 does now. All right, that should have been another nice one. Let's go down there and check these things out. All right, let's check out what we got down here. Really, I guess there was no doubt that we were going to get great performance from both of these things. You're talking about Federal HST in 40 Smith & Wesson at these kind of lighter weights. It was almost guaranteed good performance. So we'll start on the top up here. This was the 155. They both look nearly identical as far as disruption and expansion. You can see it comes in here, immediate expansion, very nice disruption and energy dump right here. Nice spiral looking disruption all the way through this first block. It just barely peeks into this second block, maybe an inch. And after looking at it now, you got some really nice looking expansion from it. And then down below that, of course, that's the 165. Again, they look nearly identical. Immediate expansion, immediate energy transfer. It dumps all this cloth out of the way. You can see spiraling, nice disruption all the way through this first block into the second block. And this one actually goes about an inch further than that 155, which totally makes sense. And looks like you might have got even a little bit more expansion on this one, or just the same expansion if nothing else. So as far as the penetration measurement on them, the 155 here on the top, you've got exactly 17 inches, so fantastic on that one there. And in the 165, you've got exactly 18 inches. So both of these rounds are giving you absolutely terrific performance. And in your closer look here, again on the top 155, bottom 165, you can tell they look nearly identical. You would think they're the exact same projectile, which they basically are. 10 grains is not a whole lot. You can see there the 155 sneaks into that one an inch, and then an extra inch out of this 165, and both of them look like some real nice expansion. From the top, same deal. You can see really, really nice disruption, just any angle you look at these things from, all the way through that first block and just into this second block. All right, let's take a look at these projectiles. More really, really nice performance right here. 165 right here, 155 here. Again, both of these things did a fantastic job. Beautiful, even expansion out of both of them. But as you can see, I would have to give the edge to this 165. Now this one here, the extra velocity is probably what caused it to peel back more, so you can see the final size is not as big as 155, but if you look closer, it looks like the lead didn't even pull back as much out of this one either. So again, I think you have to give the edge to this 165. Just, you know, if you're min-maxing, if you're looking to find a winner right here, I think you got to give it to this 165 as far as this projectile goes, because you got a bigger bigger ending size right here and more expansion, and it looks like about maybe 5 extra foot-pounds of energy. So really minimal there, but it is a tiny bit extra. But let's get some measurements on them and see what that's looking like. As far as weight, this one started at 155 and you're actually at 156.0, so absolutely nothing lost there. This one started at 165 and you're at 165.8, so they definitely gave us all our money's worth right here with these, and we didn't lose anything. And then as far as the sizes of them, we'll start with this 155. You got 653 and 626, so really nice even expansion there. And then this 165, you got 721 and 722, so again, very nice, really nice consistent expansion on that one. And there you have it, y'all, the Federal Premium HST in 40 Smith & Wesson 155 versus 165 grain. Very nice performance out of both of these. Again, if you're min-maxing and just looking to call a winner, I think you have to say the 165 is the winner. It's got a little bit more final ending size here, more expansion. It had a little bit more penetration. It had just a hair more energy. And as far as recoil, I couldn't tell any difference between these. Both of these things were very mild recoil. So I think obviously both of these things are an exceptional round. But again, if you're min-maxing and looking to call a winner, I think you have to give it to the 165, but there is absolutely no loser on this one. All right, y'all, I'm gonna call it right there for a fantastic 40 Smith & Wesson test to start the day with. Absolutely beautiful performance from both of these rounds. You can definitely see now, though, why they wouldn't offer both of them anymore. When you got this close a performance, it's probably just not worth carrying both the different SKUs of it. You would just take the one that edges the other one out, which in this case, I think you have to give it to the 165. You got more penetration, you got more expansion, just a little more energy. So in every way, the 165 is just a little bit better. Again, though, the difference is so little between these that I would have no problem using either one of these, just depending on which one I had or could get a hold of for the best deal. But let me know down in the comments what y'all think about it. Any of y'all out there run this HST in 40 Smith & Wesson? If you do you run one of these lighter 155, 165s, or do you run it in 180? Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are. If you enjoyed the video, as always, make sure you take a second and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you've got those notifications turned on so you get notified when I upload stuff. As always, a big thanks to my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for supporting the channel. I've got a couple more really interesting ones planned for out here today, so stay on the lookout for those. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.